Hi there, friends. It's been a couple weeks since we've spoken, so let's catch up. Okay, looking at my table here, let me pick up some things here. All right, just for comparison, this is the stuff I've gotten from the past month at one comic shop and 2 weeks worth of books at another comic shop. So this is a hefty haul here. And it's nothing that I haven't gone over before. Star Wars Bounty Hunters. Okay, that's a cool cover. It's Kylo Ren. You see his lightsaber there. They're doing a series of these Choose Your Path covers. So we got Star Wars Bounty Hunters, a regular Star Wars main series. Here's one with Plo Koon and his lightsaber, right? Chewbacca and Han Solo with Chris Anton on the cover there. These Phil Noto covers that he does are pretty rad. This is stuff I enjoy reading, but I can't be like, you need to go get this book. Firefly. I love Firefly. I've always loved Firefly. If you're not into Firefly, I can't recommend the book to you because there's so much you need to know about that series. Hellboy, I will probably always recommend Hellboy. Is it one of my key top picks this week? No, because if you've read enough Hellboy, you know that these stories are consistent. I have not read this issue yet, but I know that I will probably enjoy it because Mignola knows how to write Hellboy. There's no disputing that. I've already talked about this book enough. I can't just keep throwing this at you, right? If you haven't picked it up yet, you're not going to pick it up. A silver coin. You know, I've talked about how I love horror anthologies. I love this book. Yeah, I will always recommend this book, but I've already thrown this stuff at you before. Okay, so let me show you my top picks for this week. And some of these issues might be a couple weeks old because it's been a little bit since I collected my books, but maybe you haven't seen them yet. So let's take a look at my top picks for this week. Surprise, surprise, it's a Star Wars book. Dark Horse regained the rights to doing Star Wars books. They were the Star Wars book writing label for the longest time. Then when Disney bought Marvel, Disney decided to bring everything in-house, and so everybody lost their Star Wars license. But I'm glad to see that Dark Horse is back because they have created a lot of what people wanted to see Disney do. You know, obviously Disney did away with a lot of that, so now Disney kind of has a guidebook, I'm quite sure. You can write things within this box, but only on this side of it and above this level, just right here in this little niche, right there. You can write that.
Right in here, anything below the stereo, and on this side of the bicentennial glasses, anything between the ashtrays and the thimbles. Anything in this 3 inches. Right in here in this area that includes the chiclets but not the erasers.
Truthfully, I don't care enough about seeing more out of the Clone Wars era. I am hyped for the High Republic stuff that is coming out from Marvel Comics themselves, but I can tell that since they're focusing on the main title, the Star Wars main titles, and they already have enough under their belt, they're like, look, if somebody wants to write peripheral stuff that we just haven't seen yet, let's go ahead and let Dark Horse Comics do it again. But I'm interested to see what Dark Horse is going to do with this already well-known property. Dark Horse used to be known for creating an expanded universe because there was no guidelines on where to go within that universe. Given the fact that they have been experimental in the past, I would love to see them do a little bit more of that experimentation within the Clone Wars era of stuff that we're familiar with, but maybe haven't seen yet. So this one's interesting because they have touched on something that we have not quite seen yet, and that is a young female Wookiee. They are on the rescue. The crew here, the main crew, is on the rescue for this young female Wookiee. And we have Grievous in the book as well, and Grievous is obviously one of the better Clone Wars villains. So they've already added something new here. I think the last time we saw a female Wookiee was like the Christmas special, maybe like back in the 70s, 80s, whenever that one came out. I already like where this is going. Dark Horse has always known how to do it right. We'll see where this is issue 1. We're going to see where this goes. I'm already into it. Okay, treading back into familiar territory, we're going to talk about Fortnite Marvel once again. Zero War. This has a code in it, and I believe the code is for Wolverine claws for like harvesting within the game. If you're familiar with the concept, if you've played Fortnite, you can have Wolverine claws for harvesting in the game. I have not opened this yet. It is still polybagged. You can see the polybag bent over the board here. I haven't opened it yet. Haven't gotten my code yet. But right here, I did find that bleedingcool.com has a list starting with issue number 2 of all the things that you're getting out of the issues. We're on issue 3. There's only 5 issues, which means I get some, I think next month is like a spray paint on the wall sort of thing that I really don't care about, but I will get that so that I can figure out what the outfit in issue 5 is. They start you out with a nice big outfit in issue 1 to grab you, and then they give you some lame stuff throughout, even though the Wolverine claws are pretty cool, just so you can culminate in getting that final outfit out of the very last issue, but you have to have all of those codes prior. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm into it, right? Now, from what I understand, the new Gotham Knights game coming out, which is kind of based around, or at least it looks like it has the same playability as the Batman Arkham games did, like Arkham Knight, Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, where it started. So they will have a prequel comic series coming out before that game, or when the game releases, and then each month they'll have a new code, and at the end of the series or whatever, I'm sure it'll give you a $1,000 bonus item for having all the codes and all the issues. I'm super into that regardless, because the way that those Arkham games play, they were groundbreaking. But we're not here to talk about video games. I'm just saying this is becoming a more common concept now. The codes to get redeemable things on other media. I'm into it. If the end reward ended up being like a movie at some point in time, or something that I could enjoy repeatedly as well, like playing a video game, I would totally be into that. I would love to see them expand out into like episode chapters of cartoons or something like that. That would be pretty fantastic, right? So that's kind of why I picked this, because I'm thinking of like, I think there's an evolution happening here with these codes, the redeemable codes in the books, and we're going to see what happens with that in the future. It could just be a fleeting experience, one of those fads that goes away, when Fortnite stops collaborating with comic publishers. But in the meantime, I'm here for it. Okay, once again, Edge of Spiderverse. I'm into it. I love the concept of the multiverse stuff. I've always loved the concept of multiverse, and the fact that they are just all Spider-Man characters really kind of cracks me up more than it should, I think. I mean, I remember back in the day, like the new generation got introduced to Spider-Ham. We know that guy from the 80s, the spoof sort of stuff that they would do back in the 80s. Spider-Man 2099, like I was like a kid when that book came out. I have issues of Spider-Man 2099 #1. I have a couple different versions of it. That book was like $1 book for decades. And then this came out, or the Spider-Verse movie came out, and then now people want to see that, and they're clamoring for more. So are these Spider-Verse books key issues every issue because they're introducing new versions of Spider-Man? I can't say yes necessarily, but you don't know who's going to stick around, who's going to be the next fad in the Spider-Man universe, who might end up sticking around into the main canon Spider-Man universe. This introduces a new Spider UK. That's who that is right there, Spider UK. And we've got Spider-Gwen there. She is from a parallel universe as well. Without trying to make too much of a pun of it, it is a tangled web of what to dig out of the Spider-Verse books. But I enjoy them because, like I said, always enjoying multiverse sort of content. And I think I mentioned last time, I'm not into Peter Parker so much, but these variations of the Spider-Man character I'm really into. So pick it up maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. I know that I have talked about the Darth Vader series before, but you guys, this one is pretty amazeballs. This issue 26 it's 26 of the current Darth Vader series. We have Darth Vader on a sand planet, okay, which is one of those things that he just doesn't do, all right? He's with Sabe, who used to be Padme's kind of right-hand maiden, and two things happen in this book that are pretty crazy, okay? First of all, we get Darth Vader hauling ass over the sand dunes in a pod racer. Darth Vader in a pod racer waving his lightsaber. Like the depiction of it looks crazy. And if it didn't have real context within the book itself, the imagery of it would just make you laugh like it's supposed to be a spoof, right? Darth Vader on a pod racer waving his lightsaber like a madman. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, my eyes just did that. Like they bugged and zoned on the picture. Secondly, he has his Star Destroyer fire all cannons onto his location and survive. Purpose behind it? Yes. But the fact that he commanded that and force choked a guy from the planet up on the ship in outer space. He force choked a guy from that far to make sure he followed his orders, right? This book is crazy, and I think it's a lot to do with the fact that we saw such a BA Darth Vader in the Obi-Wan series that they're trying to really emphasize the fact that, like, I don't think we have fully seen the power of Darth Vader. And I am definitely looking forward to seeing what expands out of this, because out of those two segments in this book, it's worth, just that alone, it's worth getting this book. So Donny Cates, a lot of people might know him more recently of writing Venom, I think more than anything, but he writes a lot of things. And one of the things that he has created and has become kind of meta is a book called Crossover. And they re-released issue 1 in a 3D format with 3D glasses. I haven't opened this yet. It's a gimmick. Like, what brought some joy to my heart was seeing this novelty that was held in high regard, I think, in a sense, in early comics days when the anaglyph glasses were a thing with the cyan and the red lenses. I love the fact that this just exists, because you don't find a lot of these 3D books anymore. How it plays out within this, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not, this is a thick book. I don't think the actual first issue of Crossover was this thick. So I'm not sure what lays in this issue, but this is a great series overall. What if the comic book world merged with the real world, our world, right? But like the comic books, they looked cell shaded, and they looked like they had like the four color tone dots on their skin and stuff like that. Fun series. I haven't opened it yet. Like I said, the polybag stripe is actually in the front here, which is interesting because usually they're around the back cover, and so I don't know what's in the backpack here. I mean, it's boarded up for me, so I'm not sure. I have not opened it up yet, but I'm curious to see what is in this book. But just the novelty of it. I have a decent collection of anaglyphic 3D books that I collect, and so regardless of the fact if this book was going to be good or not, I had to get it because of the 3D concept. So, yeah. All right, talking about a book that kind of took me a little bit by surprise because I didn't know the concept of what this series is going to be. And the Batman Villains One Bad Day series has started. Every month, it's basically one of Batman's main rogues. It's a story that focuses on that villain of the month, if you will. Starting it out, though, was Riddler One Bad Day. Talk about a psychological thriller. The Riddler kills a man in broad daylight. Now, we all know the Riddler always has something up his sleeve. There's a concept, a deep puzzling concept to everything he does. But this one really drives Batman to his limit, trying to figure out what Riddler's endgame is in this book. It's written by Tom King. Now, you've heard me talk about Tom King before. He did the Batman Catwoman series. He did that long-running stint on the main Batman series. At the end of it, kind of ticked everybody off when it culminated in Catwoman standing Batman up, or Selina standing Bruce up at the altar after there was this whole big thing made of it, right? Tom King, I didn't realize he is a former CIA operative in a way. I don't want to say operative, but I think he worked on a CIA consultation team, especially around 9/11. Okay, so he knows how to do psychological thriller sort of stuff. I can't say for the casual reader that this is a must-have. This is a deep dive book, a little gnarly, a little uneasy, if you will, but still a good read. Really took me by surprise, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of dark stuff the next couple issues get into with Mr. Freeze and Penguin, and I'm sure we'll see maybe even Clayface. Like, they do a lot of dark stuff with Clayface, so we'll see what happens. But this is a good start. Took me by surprise. Image Comics hit their 30th anniversary in publication, and so this year being the 30th anniversary, they've been going through month by month and reintroducing famous. I don't know, is it famous? Reintroducing some of their first characters and teams that came out during their first publications. And one of them that I have loved ever since I found it on my own, because nobody else was really talking about it. I didn't really follow early Image stuff. I didn't really follow Cyberforce. I didn't follow Wetworks. So I kind of found this on my own just because the concept of it was cool. And that's Shadowhawk. Now, Shadowhawk was an individual who, much like Batman, swore that he would not kill people. But he went after really bad people. He went after people who needed punishment. And so his concept was, I won't kill anybody, but I will make sure that they can never hurt anybody ever again, which would result him in breaking people's backs. Like that's kind of the ultimate punishment, especially if it resulted in you just kind of being trapped in your own body, if it resulted in you being a paraplegic or whatever. That was kind of his way of dodging that bullet of, I'm not killing people, but I am screwing up their life for all of time. Now, this book, I have to say, this book made me feel a little bit strange. Now, I've been reading Shadowhawk for 30 years, okay? The person who has taken on the moniker of Shadowhawk throughout the years has changed. But this one is the original Shadowhawk that first appeared 30 years ago. And I think this is the last time we will ever see Shadowhawk, because the title is The Last Shadowhawk. And that kind of sucks. I think we saw the death of Shadowhawk in this book. And Jim Valentino, one of the original founders of Image Comics, he's an older guy now. I think he's pushing 70s-ish, I don't think he's so much into keying in on these original Image characters that he created. So he's like, look, I don't want anybody else to really carry it on either, so I think it's done. And that kind of bums me out. This is a dark book, and I needed it just because my collection addiction of having everything Shadowhawk said I needed to have it. But it kind of bummed me out. But if you are a Shadowhawk fan, I suggest picking it up. And if you've never read Shadowhawk, the first issues are still dollar issues. You can still find them for a couple bucks. And they had fun gimmicks. They had the chromium covers. They had the glow-in-the-dark covers. Shadowhawk is a fun series, and it's all been incremental in mini-series, maybe 4 to 6 issues per mini-series. So it's very easy to collect along the way. So if you've not ever collected Shadowhawk, it's a fun concept, fun character, and you're seeing probably the end of it right here. So, yeah. And now we're going to end off with my 2 main key issues for this week. This one shouldn't be a surprise considering how hype I was for the last issue. Bought multiple covers of it. It's The Mandalorian. Now, this series of The Mandalorian is basically retelling the very first season that you can watch on Disney Plus, right? Issue 2 here deals with him having obtained Grogu and then getting back to his ship only to find out that the Jawas have basically stripped it. And then he has to go fight the Mudhorn to get the egg to bring back. If you've not seen the show, you have no idea what I'm talking about. If you have seen the show, you know all of this information. But this is a key issue because it is the first full appearance of Grogu in a comic book. Issue 1 was the first cameo appearance. This is the first full appearance of Grogu in the Star Wars comic books. It's worth a get. It's sitting still on shelves right now. I don't know what that has to say about people's retention of what The Mandalorian is bringing to the table for them anymore, or maybe they know it's just a retelling of the series, and there's no newness in this book, which I expressed last time really kind of bummed me out. I wanted to see new Mando stories, stuff that we hadn't seen, that existed before we caught him walking in that door on the very first episode, you know? So it's a key issue for the first appearance of Grogu. Everybody loves Grogu. It's an easy get to go out and get right now off the shelf at your local comic book shop. And this next book, I had to snatch it up right away. I am a big Jonah Hex fan. I am an apologist of that Jonah Hex movie because Josh Brolin did an amazing job playing Jonah Hex. He's done an amazing job playing Cable. He did Thanos, but a lot of people, I think, kind of ignored the Jonah Hex movie, and he did such an amazing, spot-on job playing Jonah Hex. I have the first appearance of Jonah Hex, and I have the entire New 52 Western series, the Vertigo series. I have just a lot of Jonah Hex, and I just love the concept of the character. And there's nothing super high concept about the character. He's a bounty hunter gunslinger from the Old West, right? The movie did kind of add this sort of supernatural concept to it, which I think was a fun touch. So when I saw this issue, I had to grab it for $15. It's the death of Jonah Hex. Now this says Jonah Hex Spectacular, but this is like DC special series, right? I think this is issue 16. So if you look up DC Special Series 16, The Death of Jonah Hex. Now these books can, in fantastic shape, can fetch some money because it is the canon death of Jonah Hex. By the time we catch up with him here in this book, it is 1904. And Jonah Hex is an old man sitting at a poker table with his wife in his spectacles because he can't see the numbers on the cards. And he's an old man, and he's not posing a danger to anybody. And sitting at a poker table, somebody busts in with a shotgun. Done. He's done right there. The weird thing is, and this is still canon to this day. I think it's on display in Gotham somewhere. I can't give you the issue where I've seen it recently, but it exists, right? Within the canon of the modern DC universe. They taxidermied Jonah Hex, stuffed him, and then put him on display. Like he was in a warehouse for a long time until this old carnival dude putting together this old Wild West show found Jonah Hex, his stuffed body, in a warehouse and put him on display at this traveling Wild West show. And since then, I think it was taken and put in a museum or something like that. But Jonah Hex died, and they stuffed him and put him on display. That blows my mind. So Jonah Hex was born in 1938. They had his tombstone in the book, 1938 to 1904, and I think we probably caught up with his bounty hunting. Already scarred up. I think we caught up with him probably in the 1860s, 70s, somewhere around there. So much like Hellboy, even though Hellboy is dead, we are still getting new Hellboy stories because there was a lot that happened in his life that we never saw. Jonah Hex is dead. He officially died in 1904 in the books. He has been dead, but we have caught up with him in other aspects, other timelines of his existing life following those stories. I love this. I love that I found this for such a great price. And once again, I said that I have my first appearance of Jonah Hex. It is one of my prized comics that I have. It's not in a fantastic shape. I have it graded. I think it's only, it's a low grade, but it was a grail for me for a long time. And I'm going to show you guys probably my top 5 favorite books that I have in my collection here coming up in the future. Also, I have finished my experiment this time around. Remember when we unpackaged some books and I was like, whatever books are in this package, I'm going to fill out these storylines and read these storylines. And I'm going to give you guys my synopsis of that coming up soon. It was Wolverine Patch. It was Thor, God of Hammers, and it was X-Men Inferno. And so if you have read any of those storylines, let me know in the comments below of your thoughts of how they turned out. There are 2 that I enjoyed, 1 that I don't care to revisit at all. So take your guesses as to what those might be, once again, in the comments below. But in the meantime, feel free to get a hold of me if you want to chit-chat about comics right here, Marvelous TNG on Instagram or even Twitter as well. Hit me up there and we'll chit-chat about all the stuff that you see me produce here and show you on camera. And so, until I talk to you guys sometime soon, I mean, it'll be soon, I promise. All right, I'll talk to you then.